Before you even arrive in Creemore, you'll be treated to some beautiful views as you make your way north. Once you hit the Hockley Valley area, that's where the views really start to open up. The weather was looking a little iffy, but the sun was out when I arrived in town, so I decided to head straight downtown. I'd heard so many great things about Creemore over the years, but never managed to get there before now. And as expected, it was a really beautiful town. Everything was decorated for fall, the shops had their doors open, and the autumn breeze was blowing the leaves around, and it just made for like a perfect Ontario fall day. Before going, I had made some notes and some points of interest that I wanted to see, but I left a lot kind of open-ended so that I could just explore and see what happened throughout the day. And so I started to explore downtown. And visually, there's so much to take in here. There's chocolate shops, home goods stores, cafes, bakeries, bookstores. You could easily spend an entire day just exploring the downtown and eating. I strolled up and down Mill Street and made mental notes of some of the spots that I wanted to come back and check out. But first, I wanted to check out a couple historical spots. My first stop was at the tiny jail, which is located just a couple minutes from downtown. It also served as a temporary shelter for the homeless, or tramps as they were called back then during the Great Depression. Next to the tiny jailhouse is the last surviving log home in Creemore, dating back to the late 1800s. It's really interesting to see how people lived back then compared to today, and it's really honestly amazing to think that a family with 10 children lived in this tiny log cabin. I had arrived in town a little later than I had hoped, and so it was already lunchtime. From my stroll through downtown, I knew where I wanted to eat. The Creemore Bakery is a really nice little cafe, and I got there just in time because the lunch crowd rolled in right after I sat down. They're known for their cold brew and their baked goods, and they have a great small breakfast and lunch menu too. I ordered the turkey club. It was super good, and the coffee was really great too. After lunch, I headed over to the Creemore Brewery. I actually don't know how wide their distribution is, but Creemore is definitely a well-known brand in Southern Ontario, and it's a fantastic brand of beer actually. They have a great little shop and bar where you can order one of their many varieties and buy some to take home with you. You can do like sample sizes, or you can do like a flight of beers as well. They also offer tours of the brewery, but you gotta book that in advance. After my half pint of the brewery, I headed back to the street to explore more of downtown. And that's actually where I ran into and met the mayor of Creemore, Doug Measures, who turned out to be just a great guy, super nice, and so willing to just like spend a few minutes and chat with me and fill me in on stuff in Creemore. They have festivals and events throughout most of the year, like the Copper Kettle Festival in August and the Harvest Fest, which happens in mid-October. By the sounds of it, there's always something happening in Creemore, and I think I'll have to come back with my wife and kids so we can experience more of Creemore. Next, I walked over to the Creemore Village Green with the mayor, and he told me that this public space was one of the more recent additions to town where they host a lot of events. Just behind the Village Green is the location of the old railway station, which is a replica of the original. A cool thing the community did when this was constructed was each family bought a roof shingle and signed their names on the shingle before it was placed on the roof. I had a great time talking with the mayor, and he was so friendly and so generous with his time and information about Creemore, and he wasn't the only person in Creemore like that. I actually struck up conversations with a number of people who were so willing to like talk to me and tell me what they knew about Creemore and fill me in on stuff, and it was just really generous community, really nice group of people. The name Creemore has its roots in a Gaelic term which translates to big heart, and I think that's a very fitting name for this town. Next, I headed to the 100 Mile store, which is a must if you visit Creemore because they source all of their products from within 100 miles of town. Their mission is to support small and mid-sized natural and organic farms and artisans, which is a really cool concept. For example, they sell amazing loose leaf tea. They also sell locally produced jams, honey, baked goods. Honestly, there's a ton of good stuff here. And if you want to support the community and also bring something really delicious or really cool and unique home with you, you gotta go here. Another great spot across the street is the Bank Cafe, which offers up breakfast and lunch items and baked goods. But one thing that they are really known for is their carrot cake. So naturally, I had to pick up a slice for myself, but I decided to actually save it until after I was done hiking because I had planned to hike all afternoon. I thought that'd be a nice reward at the end of the day. Hey, I'm Mark. I'm a videographer based in the Toronto area, and I make videos about interesting places and experiences in North America, but mostly in Ontario. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and I have plenty more videos like this on my channel and plenty more planned for the future, so please consider subscribing. If you've already subscribed, I really appreciate you, and thank you. Thanks to some locals I met downtown, they told me about a hiking trail nearby, which is actually on the land where Creemore Brewery sources their special spring water for their beer. The mayor confirmed this as I chatted with him, and I thought to myself, well, I have to go check this out. The land was originally owned by Creemore Brewery, and they donated it to the township. You can't actually find the natural spring unless you have some local insider knowledge because it's deep in the forest somewhere. And I personally didn't get that much info, but I got enough to head out there and find the trailhead. This is a great forest loop to take in the fall colors, and it's super close to town too. But the spot that I had planned to hike was Nottawasaga Bluffs Conservation Area, and that's where I headed next. This place is about 15 minutes outside of town and located along the stunning Niagara Escarpment. The first recorded European to explore the area was Samuel de Champlain in 1616. He said of the area, "The country is full of hill slopes and little level stretches, which make it a pleasant country." Sorry, Sam, but pleasant is an understatement. Before Europeans, this area was home to the Tionantati, which means people of the hills. This First Nations tribe inhabited this area from 1580 to 1650. The history of this tribe and the entire First Nations people of Ontario is very complex and fascinating. I recommend anyone who is curious to read up on the history of the First Nations people who lived here before Europeans arrived. There's a lot to see here, like caves and old homestead ruins. If you want to head straight to the cliffs for some spectacular autumn views, it's actually pretty straightforward. The trail turned out to be pretty well maintained and was a gravel path for most of the way. Once you get to campsite 5, head straight to get your first views off of Nottawasaga Bluffs. There's a couple different cliffs that you can take in the views and fall colors from. The hike took me less time than expected, so I decided to go a little further along the trail and check out the caves. Be super careful around here though, as the crevices and caves are really deep. If you fall in, you're definitely breaking a limb or worse. I was really grateful that the weather cooperated though. It did rain on and off throughout the day, but thankfully I somehow timed it perfectly. As I made my way out of Creemore, the rain started to come down, and thus began my long journey home. Thankfully, I had saved that amazing carrot cake for the drive. I really liked exploring Creemore, and I left a lot of stones unturned. I feel like I say this a lot, but for sure I will be back. And I'm super grateful to the residents of Creemore for sharing their local knowledge and just being so welcoming. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.